Hello, and welcome to the practical guide to the U.S. Physician Office Laboratory, POL, Part 2. In this section, we're going to talk about testing and related reporting. This is Part 2 of our white paper for the Laboratory Informatics Institute. We're going to talk about test complexity, common tests, and finally reporting. Test complexity has 3 levels: high complexity, moderate complexity, including provider-performed microscopy, PPM testing, waived complexity, and most POL testing is waived complexity, so that is the one that we've been talking about the most down here. High complexity tests are tests that are very complicated, have a high risk for an inaccurate result or a mistake to be done in the procedure. Those are the ones that all these tests, of course, are FDA approved, whether it be high, moderate, or waived. But the high complexity ones are sometimes new. Sometimes they're laboratory developed, and the FDA just views them as being very risky. Moderate complexity is a step down from high complexity. High complexity has the most restrictions. Moderate complexity is moderately restricted in terms of regulations. And these are things that have some risk, but it's not as low as the waived and not as high as the high. Moderate complexity and high complexity both have the laboratories inspected by CLIA and do require proficiency testing. Waived complexity does not have a routine inspection, nor does it have proficiency testing requirements. To have any of these tests being done, you do have to file, the lab has to file for certifications from CLIA and for waivers and stuff like that. But that's a little bit about the test complexity for these laboratory tests. And here are some commonly performed laboratory tests. Some of these are only in the office, and many of these are just general, as you can see by the pathology consult during surgery. You know, it's highly unlikely that's going to be in the office, but it can be if there's an office procedure being done. So these tests: urine analysis, urine pregnancy, blood occult, glucose blood, pathology consult during surgery, crystal identification by microscope, sperm identification and analyses. And that's not a typo. There's many different types of analysis that can be done, so it is analyses. Bilirubin, blood gases, complete blood count, bone marrow smear. That's probably not done in the office. That would be done out at a lab. Blood bank services, again, not in the physician office. And transfusion medicine, which I suppose could be in the office, but I'm also thinking is probably not. When it comes to reporting, of course, you have to do many different types of reports, and billing is one, so I wanted to kind of talk about billing a little bit in the paper and on these slides. Reimbursement rates are set by individual insurance providers and plans. Billing personnel should check with the appropriate plans to ascertain reimbursement. That is extremely important. You don't want the providers to end up with sticker shock because they're expecting to get a $15 reimbursement and they come back with a $5 reimbursement. That could be a big problem. Reporting requires test results to pass through a set of validation and quality control measures before being compiled into a report for the physician. This is an important point because results aren't any good if they're not accurate. So there is a process within these electronic systems for that. Patient reports contain patient information, including demographic information, physician information, and whether the results were in normal limits. Other types of reports generated include a summary, daily totals, test totals, billing, and quality control reports. These are often generated through a laboratory information system or a LIS. That's very true in the physician office. LIMS, which is a laboratory information management system, is often used more in research. And for more information, just like I told you on the last presentation, you can visit our white paper using this link, or you can contact the Institute using this link. They are in the description of part 1. And thank you for your time in watching the video.